Welcome to the Chess Free app. Very excited about this win right here. We had a strong game. You can kind of sort of see the position. We're going to break down exactly what happened. White is not in a winning position here. We're going to go to review game. And we'll start from the very beginning. Okay, I'm playing as black. White goes pawn forward. I decided to mirror that move. I'm not going to mirror too much. What I'm looking to do is try to develop a position. So I'm going to probably clog up the center with pawns and would like to try to be able to shift my knights to one side, depending on which side white castles to. Typically, white will castle to the left side. So that's my line of thought here, developing some knights. They develop a knight. I decided to play a pawn forward. This pawn is protected right there, and then they develop a pawn. So I've got my triangle of pawns in the middle. Not the greatest. It's got a decent defense here, and it kind of clogs up the middle. It takes away some of the knight positions that white can use. I'm most concerned about the knight stuff because sometimes there's a move or two you can't see. Like you can see the immediate move, but there could be 2 or 3 moves down and some weird combinations that can be very potent. So something to watch out for there. They play the pawn forward. Let's see. Yeah, they play pawn forward there, just trying to develop their position. I developed my knight right there, and this is where white offers an exchange of knight for knight. I'm not taking that. I develop my bishop. I don't want to exchange right there. I want to just develop pieces, so I bring the bishop forward, figuring, okay, I have 2 bishops, depending on how they play it. They develop their bishop right there, move number 7. I decide to just, I only move this bishop forward. I have an intent to attack the left side potentially with the bishop, which is what I usually do here. However, you'll see as this game goes on, it's a little different than some of my games. I ended up attacking with pawns, and I think another knight, I believe. We'll break that down a little bit later here. They developed their bishop. I decide to move my queen back to the c7 square. Try to disguise what I'm doing because the AI can sometimes recognize attack patterns. What I want them to do basically is I want them to castle to the left side, and I'm going to overload the position, preferably with pawns. I'm looking to castle to the right side to bring an extra rook through, open up maybe the H file or G file or some combination of that, and just go after them that way. Maybe sacrifice a piece here. They finally go ahead and castle. That's exactly what I want, because that means we can go into attack mode and break down this position. That's going to be the goal. We've got the center clogged up. King's on the right side. It's going to be very difficult for white to get an attack on our king, which makes this a pretty very strong position, at least for me, considering some of the other games I played against them and won. This is one of the stronger positions I've got, especially playing as black. So they do this move right here, the knight here. That's threatening, of course, the pawn on f7. It's going to be threatening the pawn at f7, where they could fork both my rooks. So I just take the rook on d8 and move it to f8 to block that. They develop their queen, again, threatening this side. I've got the right side, like I said, protected. They're going to have to bring a lot of pieces, but their knights are on the left side. So it's a matter of, exchanging material on the left side of the board, attacking that side, and getting the W here. So, and of course, you got to coordinate the stuff because, remember, we're playing against computer level 12. If it's down to a grind-out game, they're going to find the moves. You have to find, different methods of attack, exchange material for position, maybe get a pen or two, which we'll look at later on. So my move is simply push the pawn forward, get that knight out of there, and start attacking. They move the knight backward. That's good, because it's just like they brought the piece there. They wasted a couple moves. I got a little bit of development going here. We can push forward. I decided to play my knight forward right here. After thinking over, they decided to play pawn on the right side of the board from A2 to A3. Okay, this is where my plan is basically to open up, to attack the king's defense. That means exchange material not advantageously. So I'm going to be trading a pawn for a knight, capturing with a knight right there. They'll capture back with a knight. Again, I'm looking to open up this position. I've got a lot of pieces going to attack them. The important thing, I think, in this game is what I was able to do successfully is get a lot of pieces in position where they could attack and actually be used. That's, you know, one of the key. If you're going to win, you have to figure out ways to actually utilize your pieces or, you know, attack a position. So that's what we're trying to do here. So I simply play pawn forward, looking to take away some stuff. And kind of, I'm trying to maybe possibly work two pawns together. I make a questionable trade later on. We'll get into that. They play the, let's see, oops, sorry. They played the rook. This move concerns me a little bit because I actually like having the king boxed in. Now, because they moved the rook out of the way, the king's not as boxed in, so the king has more flight squares. But we're going to try to overload that. Again, we have an extra knight too, so we can do a lot of stuff here. The knight's kind of in reserve. It's maybe 2 or 3, well, maybe more like 3 moves away from getting in good position. I play pawn forward. You know, I'm simply going to attack with the pawns and then see how it goes. And I've got bishops backing it up, as well as, you know, 2 rooks and a queen. So their knights are going to be limited in moves, and there'll be an exchange or two coming up here. They decide to get their knight back into position. This is very good for them. Well, what it does, you got to think a couple moves ahead, but what they're doing right now is basically covering the the G5 square. So yeah, moving that knight there is going to cover. He'll have 2 knights covering the G5 square. The only major problem I think White has is they've got pawns blocking some of their bishops. So they're basically defending with you know, a bishop and like 2 knights and, you know, a few pawns. And so we've got more attackers than they got defenders. That's something we're trying to exploit here. So yeah, I decided to push the pawn forward right there. They play bishop back. This is recognizing my move. I'm going to take the pawn and keep pushing this pawn forward. Let's go back here. I'm going to keep pushing this pawn forward. That's the plan. I've got a bishop and I've got a rook. I'm going to push it to h3 and then see what they do. That's the plan. So they're bringing an extra defender for that pawn. Yeah, so this is where I take a kind of a risky move, but I'm trying to break up a position. So another not the best exchange, but what I'm doing is I got a pawn right there. They've got 2 knights. I've only got 1 bishop defending, so I'm going to lose material here. But I'm trying to open up the position. And when you're playing against a computer on super hard, those are exchanges. They'll typically take point value exchanges if there's nothing immediately as a threat. I'm trying to improve the position, so that's the goal there. So they capture with 1 of the knights, which I kind of expected. I'm going to capture with the bishop. They're going to recapture with a knight right there, so that's the full exchange. And then next move, of course, I take my queen, which means they're going to push their knight backwards because they don't want to give up the knight there. So that was the hidden part, was bringing out the queen. I want to get the queen involved. I've still got a bishop. I've still got a pawn. I've still got 2 rooks. I'm looking to push. So I push right there. After a little bit of thought, they just move their rook. So when I see that move, I know I've got a really strong position, because the computer level 12 is just, if something's wrong in your line of thinking or line of attack, they will break it up. They will tear apart your position. If anybody, most of you have known from playing against them, if you make a mistake, they will make you pay. They're very good at calculating positions. Okay, so I decide to take the just take the pawn right there. So that was one way. You know, I could have recaptured. I might have recaptured with the bishop had they taken it, but that was the exchange right there. Okay, so if king has a flight square now, okay, so they've captured with the bishop. After thinking this over, I initially thought about going with a pin with one of the 2 rooks. It would probably be the rook, the f8 rook. But what I decided to do was I want to get a pin, but I don't want White's king escaping. So I play bishop to h3. And what I'm looking to do here is if they don't do anything, I'm just going to bring a rook in and pin the bishop and then take. And it's going to be, you know, I could take with rook, I could take with bishop. Yeah, there's a lot of discover checks. It's going to be game over right there. And it's going to be game over anyway because I've got a good position here. So they capture with the bishop, fair enough. I decide to capture with the rook. So rook takes at h3, right? Bishop h3. All right, so the next move is they bring their queen down. White brings their queen down, looking to try to bolster the defense. The problem, again, White has with this position is they've got a lot of pieces defending, but they don't really have, you know, if you can bring pressure and overload White's king, which we're doing with black, you can win. But it's easier said than done, of course. So anyway, let's go to the next move here. I decided to bring my queen forward to just to f6. You know, I can't really bring it to the g5 square because the knight is protecting there. But I'm looking to put some pressure. Probably, you know, there's a lot of different ways we can go with this. Probably one way would be to take the rook and capture that because it'd be a bad exchange for, you know, we might be exchanging material here. White decides to play king forward to g2, which is threatening to take my rook. Now remember, White has two defenders now on that valuable knight, and they also have the h4 square. After thinking it over, I just go, you know, rook to g8 check, and that's where they resign. Now the thing is, White can't capture that h3 rook because it's going to be checkmate because I got two pieces and you know, White's king's kind of boxed in. So I think what we did here a really good job of, we had White's pieces we didn't even get our knight involved too. I like to get the knight involved typically, but we got White is pretty much got most of their pieces. They got, you know, two rooks, a queen, a bishop, and they're only using the knight. And we've overloaded their position. So that's one thing we've done very good. And to win against a computer at the hardest level, you got to be able to overload, you know, maybe use a series of pins. I mean, this is a good example. If you're looking for more examples and stuff, there's going to be a playlist with games only against a computer at the hardest level. Multiple engines. I think I've got like four. Let's see, I got chess, this one right here, the Chess Free app. There's a chess.com app. There is an old Majestic Chess one. I got a couple on that. And I've got several ones on the Pure Chess for PS4. They're going to be in there. We've also got some other playlists for chess. I'll put links in the description below. But yeah, really excited about this one. I thought did a very good job of attacking, you know, maybe some exchanges. You know, I gave some pieces of value, more value, but was able to get a good position and capitalize on that, more importantly, because you can't really exchange pieces without, you got to be able to capitalize on that. So very, very excited. Hopefully I probably am talking too fast because I'm excited. That's what I do when I'm excited. So anyway, I would like to thank you for watching and wish you good luck.